All right, guys, this is the third time I've tried filming this fucking video. The first time I was muted. The second time it ended in 10 seconds, and I didn't even know because I was too excited. Okay, so let's fucking see how this goes. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I used to be so fucking anxious all the time in sales, and I had no idea why. I would take a shit ton of sales trainings. I'm literally known as the guy in this space who's just taken every single fucking program. Like, I've spent an ungodly amount of money on sales education. I can't even, people are like, dude, I don't know what else you can learn about sales, Paul. I don't know, right? Um, but now I'm in fulfillment. Now I'm in customer client success, and it's starting to click, right? Because in sales, I was chasing lagging indicators, okay? In sales, I was chasing lagging indicators. Now that I'm in fulfillment, I'm starting to understand leading indicators. And really, I'm starting to understand lagging and leading indicators, right? I just learned what these are like 2 days ago, right? But for example, a close, it's a lagging indicator. Cash collected, lagging indicator. Revenue, also lagging indicator. These are results, these are outcomes. But behavior is a leading indicator. Okay? Now the problem, you're gonna be like, no shit, Paul, that's a fucking problem, but I was trying to force outcomes without understanding the behaviors that produce them. Tell me you wouldn't be fucking anxious. That's anxiety. Anxiety is trying to control what happens after the fact, right? So I just want to say that one more time. I was trying to force outcomes without actually understanding the behaviors that produce them, because I didn't even know behaviors produced outcomes. If you told me what produced outcomes, I'd be like, I don't know, fucking inputs. And you could look at behaviors as inputs, but I didn't really understand, you know, what I understand now, right? So, and what I'm about to say, I think is really going to resonate with all of us. And I deeply, deeply, sincerely invite you to question this belief of yours, whether you're aware of it or not. Because what I'm noticing after, I don't really follow a lot of wealthy figures. There's one really that I follow, and what I'm noticing about him, and because I've been following him since not the very 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 beginning, but before he was relatively big. And one thing I'm really noticing is this, and I'm sure you guys have thought of this as well, but I used to think that some people just had it. You know what I'm saying? Like something was special about them. Like they're them, they got it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And when I was watching this wealthy individual, I I I I noticed this theme throughout his content. And looking at it's Alex Hormozy. Looking at his content through this new lens of fulfillment completely changes his content, by the way, right? But that's what I used to believe for such a long time, and I challenge and invite you to sincerely observe and look within, and see if you have this belief and if you're aware of it or not. Just because you're aware of it doesn't mean you don't have it. So please, 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 do you think that individuals are where they are because they are that individual? And you are where you are because you are not that individual? Do you think that? If the answer is yes, I want you to continue watching this video, because this has completely transformed my life. Like, I am operating from a whole new perspective relative to where I was before, right? That's what I used to think, though. Some people just had it. There's something special about them. Now, behavior is not exclusive. And I wrote that down specifically because I said that to my best friend the other day. Philly Phil, pause. Hey, yo. I said that to my boy Phil the other day. on Discord. We were chatting it up, and I remember I was coming back inside. I was drinking like some fucking watermelon juice out on the hammock. I was taking a break after onboarding, and I was just walking inside. And I just had this epiphany. I'm like, behavior is not exclusive. Behavior is not exclusive. And I cannot tell you the amount of liberation I felt in that moment when I had absolute conviction in what I was saying, right? Because it wasn't like someone said that to me and I was like questioning about believing it. It was like I already believed it and then the words came, right? Because success behaviors can be studied and replicated. And this actually really helped me with something else because if you think about that, that really dismantles self-image constraints. Because what I'm essentially saying is that results, thank you, brother, I appreciate you. What I'm essentially saying is that results are not mystical, they're behavioral, and behaviors are trainable. And to me, that allows me to move from a different level of freedom, right? Now, I'm not dissing all the inner work I've done. All the inner work I've done helped me see that I wasn't limited by who I thought I was. Because who I thought I was is not who I was. It's not who I am. Right? So I don't regret that, and I'm not going to stop it because the inner work has brought a level of freedom to me outside of this, right? This is just kind of coming together, right? Which I like. I really like, right? Like Osho, right? Because Jiddu's my guy, and he was just like pure mystic. But Osho, he kind of blended the worlds, right? He was whipping the Rolls Royce while being enlightened. You know what I'm saying? So I like this because it's like enlightenment and business, and we're kind of bridging those together, right? But now that I'm a CSM, and it really what this position did, it helped me zoom the fuck out. Like it gave me a 30,000 foot view because I was no longer dealing with just my own behavior. I was now dealing with many people's behaviors and trying to get them to produce outcomes, right? And if you think about this from a business perspective, right? Just this, you don't have to be a CSM. Just follow the example I'm about to give you and it will help you understand and be able to look through the lens that I'm looking through, right? So for a business, we have one offer. We have one promise, right? We have almost 1,000 clients. Now, with these 1,000 clients comes different beliefs, different skill sets, different levels of willingness. Definitely different levels of willingness, right? That is the real business challenge. It's not marketing. It's not sales. It's fulfillment, right? And I'm not saying that marketing and sales will never be a constraint, but I'm just looking at it in the sense of like, you know, because my boy Philly Phil, he's a marketer and I'm in sales, and we, you know, as we talk, we start to see the relationship and the similarities between marketing and sales, because it's like marketing is selling to many and sales is like marketing to one, right? I don't know if that's true. That just sounded fucking good, but someone fact check that. All right. But we just started noticing, I'm like, damn, Phil, you make a great fucking salesperson, bro. He's like, damn, bro, you make a good marketer. And it's just like an example, right? Because at the end of the day, to me, it's product. It is the highest. And I said this because I was just being a parrot of Alex Hormozi and just repeating what he would say. But after being in sales and after learning about, you know, marketing through Phil's direct experience and then now being in fulfillment, I'm now seeing why fulfillment is the highest leverage, you know, out of the three, right? The delivery, the facilitation of the product to help them achieve the outcome. Because look at it this way. If your marketing's fucking stupendous and your sales are just magnificent, if they finally figure out what the fuck is behind all of that, you will always have to keep marketing and selling. Like, look at it this way. If you're a piece of shit human being and you go on a date with a chick, right? She doesn't know you're a piece of shit human being because it's your first fucking date. But you got the nice cologne on, you shaved, you got a fresh cut, you know, you're freshened up, you look good. You know what I'm saying? You're taking her to a fancy restaurant. You're whining and dining her, right? Like the honeymoon phase. You ever hear like when people are in relationships, how they present themselves, and then that usually changes at some point because they got comfortable enough with each other? Like, oh, you were the one going, you know, and taking her out to dinner and buying her a dress to wear and surprising her, and cooking dinner at the house and cleaning up and doing the dishes and taking out the trash. Then at some point, you guys stop going out, you stop doing the dishes, stop doing the trash. And then, you got comfortable. And it's like, because it's like this facade to just get the partner, right? And it's like, to me, that's, this might not be an accurate representation or a perspective, but that's kind of how I look at marketing and sales now. Because sales, I have experience in, and I realize that you're just getting someone to make a decision. They don't actually fucking know, right? So on a date, like, the chick doesn't actually know you. But based off of what she does know, she's going to make a judgment on that, perceiving what the relationship will be, right? Same thing in business. So it's like, to me, if you're a shitty human being and you can get girls, but you can't keep them, you don't have a marketing and sales problem, you got a fulfillment problem, right? So it's just like, and you will constantly go through this acquisition cycle. It's so funny. I actually used to take pickup training, right? If you guys know Mystery, I think his name is like Eric Von Markovich, and Discovery, right? And I read their books. I took some of their programs and shit like that. And it's so funny because as I went through this over the years, like, there was this common joke, like, in the community. I don't know how true this is. I just saw a glimpse of it because I never really, found out too much about his personal life, but he just couldn't keep a girl. And it's so funny because he's like the world's greatest pickup artist. So he can market and sell, you know what I'm saying? And he'll close. But like, the longevity, like the lifetime value of the relationships he was having was just, it wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if the goal at the end of the day, right, is a relationship, and you have the best marketer and salesperson on planet Earth, and the goal is to have a loving, lasting relationship, it seems to me that those are not as important as fulfillment. Because marketing and sales will get them in the door. Fulfillment keeps them in the door. You see what I'm saying? So if I had to pick one now, and I'm very thankful for my experience. I would never take that back, all the time I spent in sales. Because I don't know, but I think it's like really translating to client success, right? And it's making things click that just didn't click before, right? Anyways, I digress, right? So the real business challenge is not marketing, it's not sales, it's fulfillment. And this was the breakthrough, right? You can't send every fucking client to Tony Robbins for a year. You can't have them all rewire their nervous system for success. So it's like, what the fuck do you do, right? How the fuck do we scale this? Well, you identify the 20% of behaviors that create 80% of the outcome. High leverage behaviors, right? So business isn't about getting everyone to transform completely, unless that's your fucking business, unless you're Tony Robbins and Peter Crone. But if you're not them, it's not economically feasible. It's not economically viable for your business, right? So what then? Well, it's about engineering systems that encourage the highest leverage behaviors, right? That's how you scale. And to me, that's why sales felt so chaotic, and fulfillment, it just feels so structured, because sales is like, I need this outcome now. And fulfillment is just like, what behaviors consistently produce this outcome? So one is reactive, and then one is systematic, right? So that's where my anxiety came from. I was just trying to control lagging indicators in life outside of sales. I was definitely anxious as fuck in sales. Like, it just revealed to me how anxious I was. It was, and that goes back to my work, which is, because I'm not just business, right? If you guys have been watching me, if you guys know me, I love the mystical and the enlightenment shit, but I also love sales and business and behavior and psychology and shit like that too, right? So it was so funny because my curriculum, it's just been showing me how anxious I've been, right? So what a good position to put someone in to reveal all the anxiety that's within them, other than sales, and they don't know that what they're aiming for is a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. So it's just gonna exacerbate the anxiety. And that's kind of what my life has been, is just situations that are just exacerbating all of my inner stuff. And now it's clicking, and there's a lot of peace and serenity and harmony, But anxiety comes from trying to control lagging indicators in life too. You want love? It's a lagging indicator. You want money? It's a lagging indicator. Respect? Lagging indicator. What are the behaviors? Right? So that this is not just business, guys. This is life. If you chase outcomes, by nature, you will be anxious. But if you master behaviors, you will free yourself from anxiety. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And hopefully my mic wasn't on fucking mute this time. And the video didn't end. So